Finn, what's this? Come on, come get it! Finn, come on! Come on, Finn! Look at that battle wound. I legit, like, low-key got my ass kicked by snow. Well, I was with my dogs. What's up, everybody? Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever it is that you're coming from, welcome. This video, I'm going to be going over all of the amazing books that I plan on reading for the month of March. I spent quite a long time making this list. 2 days probably, because I'm really picky with what I want to read, and I'm going to be straight up with you guys for a quick second. I have never actually made a TBR list for a month. I usually just go with the flow. I read whatever I want to read. I'll finish a book and I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I read now? This is the first time I actually sat down and was like, all right, here are the 11 books I'm reading for March. So I would make the list and then I would go on Twitter and someone's like, okay, this book club discussion, we're doing this book. And I'm like, why do you do this to me? So the list kept changing, but I now have a solid list of all the books I want to read. Some of them I'm actually going to be rereading. I've already read them before, but they were so good. Plus, I want to read the sequels. So, anyways, I'm going to go over this list, each book, talk about it, what I plan on doing with it, all that fun stuff, and hopefully you enjoy it. The first book for the month of March is The Storm Before the Storm, which is about the end of the Roman Republic, or as it says here, the beginning of the end of the Roman Republic. For a very long time, since I read Percy Jackson back in before high school, I've loved Greek and Roman mythology, the gods, the demigods, the titans, the heroes, all of that fun stuff, Hercules, Percy, everything I absolutely loved. But lately, the last year or so, I've been really intrigued by more so the history of Rome in particular, as opposed to the mythology of it. So I picked up this book last month. I was really excited to read it because it was talking about how the political environment of Rome during, 146 to 178 BC. So it really focuses on that timeline and all of the political ventures that happened during that really caused Rome to plummet. But yeah, I've already started this one, so I'm just going to be finishing it. I'm not that far in. I'm only 73 pages into it, so I don't plan on taking too long. It's a really short book, and from what I've read so far, it's actually a page turner because a lot of the things that are happening are just these different political views that I never even thought of, and it's really cool to kind of get this perspective of a culture and a history that all I knew was Ares was a badass. The second book, Black Leopard, Red Wolf. I know nothing about the book and nothing about the author. It is actually a recommendation from a past coworker of mine. When I went to visit her, she was like, this is a bestseller right now. Please check it out. It looks amazing. I think the cover is beautiful. Plus, I was reading more into Marlon James, and he actually won the Man Booker Prize for A Brief History of Seven Killings. And I love award-winning authors. I don't know what it is, but I just think it's really cool that they were recognized for their creation, and I just want to kind of live through that as well. So this book I'm going to be reading probably first after I finish The Storm Before the Storm. My camera keeps unfocusing. Love me. Hey, there we go. Yeah, I'm probably going to read this right after The Storm Before the Storm and sort of start March with a read. The vibe I get from it is that it's almost like epic fantasy or high fantasy. It is also, what does it say here? Yeah, myth, fantasy, and history all come together. Really focusing on African culture and African history, looking more into who Marlon James is and basically his connection to the content in this book, aside from just the fact that it is focusing on African culture, is something that I found really intriguing. And I'm actually going to be doing a review about this book as well. As soon as I finish it, I'm hoping I can get it done by this weekend, and I can put up the review at the end of next week or sometime around there. Plus, Neil Gaiman said some pretty sweet things about it, and I love Neil Gaiman. Next on my list is actually a trilogy. So this is by B.J. McHale, the same gentleman who wrote Bobby Pendragon. If you haven't seen my previous videos, I love Bobby Pendragon. He also wrote a trilogy called Morpheus Road. So first book is The Lights, then it goes The Black, and it goes The Blood. So I've actually read The Light, that's The Blood, The Light, and The Black. I read both of these a very long time ago. I never actually read The Blood, which is very strange. I think it was because when I first read The Light, it was when it was first released. So I read that, waited a year, read The Black, Then I waited another year for the book to come out. I think at that point I was just like in the middle of, I don't know, Lord of the Rings or something, and I just never picked it up and opened it. It's really cool though, because the light in the black is basically life and death. So the light is everything, you know, the world, you're alive, you're in the light. The black is sort of like purgatory. So when you die, you go to the black. So book 1 and book 2 happen simultaneously at the exact same time with the two main characters. And the blood is like this third place, this like demonic hell almost. And how after everything that happens in book 1 and book 2, which like I said are at the exact same time, they go to the blood. So I'm really excited. I started it a very long time ago, but I never finished it. So I was looking at my shelf and was like, you know what, it's time. Plus, I want to start doing, I'm going to do a video shortly that is all the series that I've started but haven't finished. And I want to do book reading vlogs on me finishing those series. So look out for that sometime this month as well. I'm going to start this series probably shortly after I read Black Leopard, Red Wolf. And I'm going to be doing a reading vlog about them. But I'm super excited because all three of these books, I can't say all three. Book 1 and book 2 were phenomenal. I love the idea of having them both happen at the exact same time with these two best friends, one in life and one in death, and then whatever the blood is. I think it was hell from what I remember, and I'm really excited to dive into these as soon as I can. The next book is a reread, To Kill a Mockingbird. Super excited. If you don't know already, this is my all-time favorite book. I read it first when I was in high school, and it was part of a mandatory read for our class. And with every class, we would actually start with us taking turns reading out loud to everybody. But I would take it home. I finished it like 300 pages before anyone else in my class. Well, there's not even 300 pages. So I finished it way before everybody else, and I would just sit in class listening to them read it. I just tore through it. I love the movie. I love everything about it. I haven't actually read it in a couple of years. I've read it a few times now, I think 3 or 4. And the reason that I'm rereading it now is for the next book on my TBR list from March. I'm finally going to read Go Set a Watchman by Harper Lee. If you do not know what this is, it is the sequel to Kill a Mockingbird, or what could arguably be called the original. So from what I understand of this situation, Harper Lee actually wrote this book first, brought it to her editors and her publishers, and they were like, nah, it sounds really cool, but maybe like write a story with the same characters, but 20 years in the past about what they're referencing in Go Set a Watchman. And that is where To Kill a Mockingbird came from, which is Harper Lee's only book. Well, never mind. Was Harper Lee's only book. And I remember there was a lot of speculation around whether or not Harper Lee actually wrote Go Set a Watchman, because it was released years later. When apparently they found it. They found the manuscript somewhere, and from that they published it into this novel. And I've heard there's a lot of inconsistencies, which makes sense because she originally wrote that, and I don't think she actually planned on releasing it. It was turned down at first, but they gave her what they wanted, and that's where when she created To Kill a Mockingbird. So I've been super hesitant ever since Go Set a Watchman came out like years ago, just because I love To Kill a Mockingbird, and I'm terrified that Go Set a Watchman is going to ruin that, I don't know, love that I have for this book. But I figured I'm such a fan of Harper Lee and everything she did with this book here, and even the movie I fell in love with at a very young age. So I figured it's about time I read Go Set a Watchman, and I'm actually going to be doing a review about that book as well. So look out for 2 book reviews from me this month. One on Go Set a Watchman, and then one is Black Leopard, Red Wolf. Next on my list is one that I never thought I was actually going to read, but I see it all over BookTube. A bunch of my friends have read it. I've read so many reviews, and apparently it's amazing, and I know the author. She's a #1 New York Times bestseller, which I always am very intrigued by. And that is The Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom duology. Now, these books here, I haven't actually watched any BookTube reviews, but I've read quite a few reviews, and one of my good friends, Dakota Davies, who I will link's channel in this description. She's also a booktuber. She started one too around the same time as me. She's recommended it to me as well. So I'm finally going to hop on this train and read Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom so I can join the conversation, talk to people that have also read it, and I'm going to love it, hopefully, probably. And then I'm going to be able to talk to people about all the Six of Crows stuff, and maybe I'll read the other Leigh Bardugo series. Next on my list is another reread, but the reason I'm reading it is because I discovered another book chat or book discussion, book club on Twitter, and they're doing it for this book, and I was so excited because I find it very underrated. in the high fantasy, epic fantasy genre, one that I don't think is appreciated as much as it should be, and that is the Gentleman Bastard sequence, book 1, The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. This series is fantastic. I bought it when this one first came out, before the other books weren't even released yet, and I absolutely fell in love with Locke Lamora and the Gentleman Bastard. So I wasn't actually planning on reading this book this month until about an hour ago, when I discovered that this is going to be the March read for a book club on Twitter that I discovered. Can't remember what it's called. The Sassy Book Club. I'll link that in the description as well. But yeah, I actually wasn't going to read this month until I read that on Twitter that they were going to be doing a book discussion about it. And I had actually never met somebody who has also read The Lies of Locke Lamora. So I've never been able to have that really cool discussion about your favorite story tropes or anything that happened in the book. So I haven't had that yet, and I would absolutely love to be able to talk to people about Locke. So I'm going to be reading this one. I don't think I'm going to read the rest of the series. I don't want to join a book club and talking to people that have only read the first book when I know everything that has happened. I very, very vaguely remember what happened in the rest of the series because I read The Lies of Locke Lamora twice, and I've only read the other ones once. I actually have them right over here. But I'm going to read this one to sort of jog my memory so I can join that discussion. I'm super excited about it. But yeah, this is another book that I'll be reading in March, a reread, of course, but it's just so good. My next book is called The Gilded Wolves. I don't own it yet, but here it is. This is the book I'm going to be reading as well. I had not picked it up yet. Again, one of these books that I never thought I was going to read, but just like The Lies of Locke Lamora, there is a Books with Friends book club on Twitter. I'll link that as well. And their book from March is The Gilded Wolves. So I'm going to be reading that so I can join that discussion. I absolutely love book clubs. I've been a part of a couple. I just want to be a part of an online discussion. I want to be able to talk to people about books. It's just what I love to do. So I'm going to be reading that one. I don't know how it's going to go. I'm not really sure what to expect from it because that's not my kind of genre, but I'm sure it's going to be really good, and I'm sure that the discussion is going to be awesome at the end of March. So we'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good book. And then that brings me to the final book that I'm going to be reading in March. This one I am super excited about. I've read it before as well. Infinity. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be reading the beast that is the Infinity graphic novel from Marvel. I read it once before when it first came out. I think was when it first came out. It was when I first noticed it. And I absolutely loved everything about it. The movies are very loosely based off of it. It's like the same characters mostly, and the whole like going into space stuff also happens in Infinity. But I just watched Avengers the other day, Infinity War, and I'm gearing up for Endgame. I'm beyond excited for it. So I want to reread Infinity before I go and see that one. I'm really excited. It is a beast of a graphic novel. It is absolutely giant and is actually quite the commitment. But this book is going to be what finishes off my month of March. Some light reading, some easy reading, easy stuff. But yeah, this is going to be what finishes this month for me. And that is all the books that I'm going to be reading this month. But like I said, I am horrible at being setting a goal, a plan, a calendar for books I'm going to read. I usually just read one and then I stare at my shelves for almost 30 minutes. I wish I was lying, but I actually do that. I'll just stare until I am inspired to read a book. So this is the first time I've actually set a list for myself. I'm going to try and follow the order in which I included them in this video. I'm definitely going to be doing 2 reviews, one for Ghost Head of Watchmen and one for Black Leopard Red Wolf. And I'm going to be doing a reading vlog for the Morpheus Road trilogy. But yeah, that brings me to the end of this video. If you are excited about any of the books that I'm going to be reading, let me know. If you've read them, tell me your thoughts. Do not spoil it, please. That is actually quite a few books that I plan on reading. Is that like 11? 12, including Infinity War? What is that, by the way? That's what, so 1 epic fantasy, high fantasy, graphic novel, 5 YA, the Morpheus Road, and the Bardugo duology. Black Leopard, Red Wolf, which I have no idea what genre that is. Fantasy, fiction, something like that. Some historical, political non-fiction. And then To Kill a Mockingbird and Ghost Head of Watchmen, which is, classic fiction? Is that what would it be considered classic? Look out for those other videos that I'll be doing this month. I'm going to be releasing videos every Friday and Tuesday. Please like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. Tell me my hair looks good even though I'm wearing a hood, kind of. It's on like half my head. Plus my hair is actually just a mess right now, which is why I have a hood on. But yeah, thanks for watching. Guess what? Don't have an outro, so we're gonna go with this. Thank you. I'll see you next time. Keep on reading, everybody.